This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet world, West Alabama. How are we doing today on a Tuesday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral, BamaCentral.com. Hope you and yours are having a great day. You're watching us on the BamaCentral YouTube channel, on the BamaCentral Facebook page. You're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral. Tons and tons and tons of you are actually downloading the podcast this month. I really appreciate it. I know Theo does as well. We appreciate everybody who joins us on their favorite platforms. You can subscribe, rate, review the show wherever you find the show, on the BamaCentral YouTube channel or on those podcast platforms. The program is brought to you by Derek Daniel, State Farm Insurance, right here in Tuscaloosa. You can call Derek for all of your insurance needs at 205-758-3391. Like a good neighbor, Derek Daniel is there. Call and see how much he can save you today. And I do believe he is still hiring. So if you are looking to get into the insurance realm as a new job, you can call Derek at that same number and speak to him about employment. I know he is looking for a couple other employees around the office right there past the Tiger Rock on the left, right past, right up Highway 69 North, up Highway 69 North, as you pass McFarland getting into Northport. So we appreciate Derek Daniel for sponsoring the program. We appreciate Purple Turtle Roofing for sponsoring the show as well. You can check them out at roofturtle.com for all of their products and services, commercial roofs, residential roofs, really any of your roofing needs. They can take care of you in Alabama or all throughout the Southeast. So check out Purple Turtle Roofing at roofturtle.com. We are hanging out with my friend Theo Fernandez, and you follow him at Theo Fernandez _ on the Twitter machine. Still hanging out in California before he comes back to town to cover all things Alabama for us at BamaCentral.com. Make sure you follow him at Theo Fernandez _ Good morning, sir. How we doing?
Doing great, Joe. Yeah, like you said, riding out these last couple days here in California, just about ready to be out of this city of Los Angeles, but I'm doing pretty good as we unwind from the world.
Absolutely. So we got a few things to get into today. It's day number 2 of SEC Media Days. You have Georgia, Auburn, Vanderbilt, South Carolina up at the podium today. Kirby Smart has already spoke. I am exhausted, Theo. I'm exhausted for the reporters who spent time with Kirby Smart. I'm especially exhausted for the reporters who asked him questions and did not get any quality responses from the main media room, as Kirby Smart is a tough nut to crack. We could talk about SEC Media Days today. I have a voicemail from Hunter Brantley. You guys can leave us a voicemail at 205-462-7340, extension 800, if you want to be a part of the program. We're going to take a voicemail from Hunter. And Alabama basketball found another 7-footer? What? TJ St. Louis has committed to join the Crimson Tide for the 2026 season out of Fort Erie, Ontario, Canada. So those are the things that we're going to get into today. Basketball, the voicemail, and SEC Media Days. So let's get right into it with the voicemail line with Hunter Brantley. Let's find out what he has to say. Find out where he's going to take our conversation. You can call the voicemail line at 205-462-7340, extension 800.
To the torture chamber. Old Lou Dort getting out of town, Theo. I heard he told Sam Presti that he didn't want to play with a guy that flops every time that he gets in the paint. I heard he didn't want to play with a superstar. Every time he gets touched on a shot, he falls down. I heard he wanted to play with a real bona fide superstar that gets ethical buckets and does not flop, ever. That plays real, legitimate basketball, and that's Jalen Johnson. Welcome to the A, Lou Dort. I'm sure you'll fit right in with everybody else. Elite defender, elite shot maker, and shoot it good from 3. I promise you, he'll shoot 40% from three, Theo. Book it. Take it to the bank. Anyway, back to football. Let's talk about Tennessee. They were up yesterday at Media Days. What do we think about the Vols this year? I think they're probably the most underrated team in the SEC. I think the question for them is quarterback. Faison Brandon, 5-star, number 1 quarterback, number 2 quarterback in the class last year. They got Tristan Keys from Mississippi. He was a 5-star last year, number 1 wide receiver in the class, number 2 receiver, something like that, 5-star guy. Their defense can't get worse than what it was last year. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Their defense cannot get much worse than what it was last year because they were abysmal. The biggest question for me with them is quarterback. If they can figure that out, I mean, look out. What do you think they'll go this year? 10-2, 9-3, 8-4? What is it? Let me know.
Hunter Brantley does rage bait very, very well, and that is what he tried to do there. For context, Lou Dort is my favorite player in the NBA right now. He's been my favorite player since Russell Westbrook, and there aren't many things in the professional sports world that, like, get to me at all. But this trade hurt a little bit. Lou Dort, undrafted free agent, watched him, on these Thunder teams for years, these bad Thunder teams as they built up a roster. Had so many, like I had an Instagram page for my Lou Dort card collections where I'd buy and sell Lou Dort cards. Like it was a big part of my life at one point. So I'm officially just about retiring from real sports fandom at this point at the professional level. It's just not worth it. I got to mature out of it a little bit. Enjoy him in Atlanta, all you Hawks fans. I know there are a lot. I'm high on this Hawks team. You added another Thunder player in Aaron Wiggins as well. I think Jalen Johnson is one of the most fascinating players in the league. And I think you are a couple pieces away from really being able to compete in what is a pretty wide open East. So I'm rooting for Lou Dort to win every time he gets on a court and isn't playing against OKC. So it's a lot of NBA talk for our day, but
okay,
had to be said. I'm not getting into the Shea fouling rage bait. We're just not even going to touch that. But Hawks fans, enjoy Lou Dort.
Enjoy Lou Dort. I hope they all do. Theo, I didn't even realize. I saw you got traded. I didn't even realize how just connected you were to Lou Dort and that he was one of your favorites. So I'm sorry for you that happens. That's part of professional sports. But he asked us about Tennessee as well. And we sort of talked a little bit about all 16 SEC teams a little bit yesterday, just kind of predicting where they would finish in the SEC standings this year. I gave Tennessee 6-3 in league play. And so as Hunter was talking, I pulled up their non-conference schedule, and they have an okay non-conference schedule. I mean, two really cruddy games. They're playing Furman and Kennesaw State, but sandwiched in between Furman and Kennesaw State, they're taking on Georgia Tech in Atlanta. It says at Georgia Tech. So they do have a Power 4 road game to take on the Yellow Jackets. I think that's a pretty nice little game, but I think they'll win all 3 non-conference games and finish the year 9-3. I do agree that Brennan Faison is the big question mark. I know a lot of people wanted it to be, George or Drew McIntyre?
George.
Drew McIntyre is the wrestler. It's George McIntyre out of Brentwood Academy. I know a lot of people thought that he would be the quarterback, but it really seems like it's going to be Brandon Faison. But if you're a Tennessee fan, Theo, I don't think this year matters at all. I mean, I'm being facetious. I'm being largely facetious. This Friday is the biggest day in Tennessee fandom in 5 years. In 3 years, in 10 years, in a long time, as the best high school running back that I have ever seen is committing on Friday, and he's not going to commit to Ohio State. He's going to commit to Tennessee. David Gabriel Georges is going to announce his commitment to Tennessee, and this year will be a freebie year for Josh Heupel, and then next year it's expectations through the absolute roof for the Volunteers. Because I think David Gabriel Georges is that good.
Yeah, I know you've talked about him a couple times in the past. He looks pretty insane. I have to admit that I think he will be a very big. I do think he is that kind of player that makes that kind of impact year one right off the bat. And yeah, I don't know. I look at this Tennessee team and I don't see 6-3. I don't see 6-3 with, a team that has an argument to possibly have the worst QB out of the whole conference, right? And Heupel will likely get a decent amount out of Brandon, who will likely be the starter. But I don't see this team being all that great. And I do think there is a feel, like you alluded to, Joe, or there should be a feel of, this year we'll go out and we'll play B-level football as we build up for the next season. I think if you can get 8-4 out of this roster, you probably came pretty close to just about maximizing what you could do with this team. And Joe, we both spoke yesterday about how there's a good shot one of Alabama's losses once again comes in Knoxville. I think that's something that makes an 8-4 season feel a whole lot better if you can now say, oh yeah, we've won against the Tide in our home stadium 3 years in a row. That goes a pretty long way.
Yeah, they've got the quarterback position is pretty inexperienced. Both those guys, George McIntyre, redshirt freshman, and Faison is a true freshman. I really like Deshaun Bishop. I think he's a really good running back, really electric kind of a running back. I like their offensive line. I think that they have a nice mauling offensive line that wants to run the football. I do like Braylon Staley as a wide receiver. And Mike Matthews is pretty fun to watch as well. I'm concerned about their defense. It was pretty bad last season, but I do think it will be better. And we'll say, look, if you can get to 9-3, I think you've had a great year. If you are at 8-4, it's fine. It's a fine year. I mean, where's the bottom falling out for Tennessee? The bottom falling out is obviously 0-12. That's the worst case scenario. But bottom falling out for Tennessee is losing to Texas, Auburn, losing to Alabama, at South Carolina, maybe losing to Kentucky A&M. Is 7 losses in the league, 2-7? I mean, that's the bottom falling out. You can lose because you have a lot of 50-50 games on your schedule.
Yeah, I think it's hard to sugarcoat a 6-6 season. If you lose 6 games, it's hard to justify that as an overly successful year at all. So I'd say that's a pretty fair bottom falling out.
All right, so the second little piece of that we'll use, thanks Hunter Brantley for calling us. We appreciate all your calls. Really, Hunter has been the star voicemailer of the summer, 205-462-7340, extension 800, if you want to leave a voicemail and bring us a topic. He called Tennessee maybe the most underrated team in the league. Well, since we did our preseason predictions yesterday, I've still got my notes up, and I'm looking at all the records and stuff. Who is the most underrated team in the SEC? For me, I mean, it can't be one of these teams that finished 6 that I have going 7-2, but that's the top 6 teams, 1 through 6. I have either 8-1 or 7-2. So, like, is it returning playoff member Oklahoma, who I put at 7th, going 6-3? Is it South Carolina, who I have at 9, going 4-5 in league play? Could it even be? Well, it's probably Missouri. Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah. It probably is Missouri, just because of all the things that they have coming back. Yeah. I guess as you talk it out, the answer becomes obvious.
Yeah.
What about for you?
No, it is this Missouri team that I picked to finish 5-4 in conference, that I picked to finish in the top half of the SEC standings. And looking like I like this Missouri schedule a decent amount. And I think I've struggled at times with Missouri to justify a way that they could possibly reach the next level, right? Like, it always feels like Missouri kind of enters the season with the ceiling, right?
You can't get into that age range.
Any real hope of breaking through. Is this year any different? I think we'll know by October 10th. You look at you feasibly have no reason to not start the season 5-0, right? You have your rivalry game on the road against Kentucky or against Kansas. you don't take care of that, we can end the discussion just about. But your first two SEC games are Mississippi State on the road and then Florida. And then you play Texas A&M on October 10th at home. And like you've struggled against A&M the past 2 years. That's an understatement. I remember an undefeated Missouri team heading to their matchup in 24 against A&M, and that game was over like within 8 minutes just about. So if you win that game at home against A&M, then you enter a tough back half of the season, which includes, games against Ole Miss, Texas, and Georgia, in a place where you can realistically, you can afford a couple losses, right? You can afford to lose 3 of your last 6, and be right on the college football playoff bubble with games against, like I said, you got those. You got a season finale against Oklahoma, which that game's at home, and if things go right for the Tigers, that game could be basically a college football playoff play-in game, feasibly, if they're 2 lost teams going at it. Look, I really, really do like this Missouri team. The information on Ahmad Hardy yesterday, the update was basically best case scenario. He's going to go scorched earth on the conference this year. I love the combo of him and Roberts, and it would be fun to watch this Missouri team win games. And the playoffs are an outside shot, no matter what. It's probably a sub 10% shot, if we're being honest. But I do really think that this will be a fun team that will, A, surprise people, and B, really mess up someone else's season.
Yeah, I think that's the obvious pick based off both of our preseason predictions. So we'll see if Brad Freakwitz can surprise both of us and string together a bunch of wins. I want to take you back to yesterday. I mean, we just hit a little bit of Missouri, but I want to get your opinion on new Kentucky coach Will Stein's comments yesterday. And really the only comments that I took note of were the ones that made headlines, the one that splashed into that everybody put on social media. Will Stein, 36 years old. This will be his first head coaching job. And somebody in the crowd, Will Stein, what makes you think that you can win at Kentucky? Thank you, sir. And he said, he kind of paused for a second and he kind of stopped himself. He goes, well, this is going to sound it's me. I'm the reason that I think we're going to win. I think we're going to, it's because of me that we're going to be successful at Kentucky. Just flat out, what's your take on that level of confidence, arrogance, self-assuredness?
I love it. I love the quote. I mean, that's an I win, Google me level quote if he actually does turn things around. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, we'll all forget who Will Stein was in a decade if he flames out at Kentucky, right? Go out there, try to make a splash, try to instill a level of confidence in yourself and your program. Look, there are reasons to like Will Stein as a coach. I'd say, certainly compared to who Arkansas hired, I think Kentucky should probably feel I'm actually excited to hear Arkansas. When do they go for media day?
The schedule. Arkansas is Thursday. Arkansas.
I really don't know much about Thursday. I really don't know much at all about Silverfield, right? It really feels like it's a hire that's just kind of doomed to not turn into anything. But look, to Kentucky, Will Stein has a tough job ahead of him, but it's also, you forget that, Kentucky has been, or I certainly forgot that Kentucky, as recently as 2022, was appearing in the rankings, was carrying itself with real standards, right? And the last couple of years, I know, the last 2 years in particular, have just made the bottom completely fall out. But I'm looking at this. You had from 2018 through 2021, you won 4 straight bowl games. You got as high as number 11 in the poll, number 9 in the college football playoff poll. Yeah, you were early in the 2022 season. You were the number 7 team in the country. Kentucky's had success that I think I certainly had forgotten about, and a lot of people do. And it's a program that you just look past all the time and don't know exactly what they're pouring into NIL for the sport of football. But I'd like the idea of Kentucky being competitive. Let's see.
Yeah, after he said that, I thought, oh man, I did just predict him and his program to go 0-9 in league play in their first year, and I mean that's pretty. I feel like that's pretty bold, but I was just putting the puzzle pieces together as I was giving favorites the victory and underdogs the loss. Sometimes I tried to give some a handful of underdogs wins when I was predicting the season, but I ended up with Kentucky 0-9. So maybe I'll be proven to be the biggest dummy on the planet as Will Stein makes Kentucky competitive again, or we'll see, or maybe I'll be proven right as Kentucky stays Kentucky.
What do you think it takes for Kentucky to say at the end of this year, yeah, we're building something. Yeah, we should enter 2027 with a ton of confidence?
What year is this? Kenny Minchie is a redshirt junior. You're going to want a good season out of Kenny Minchie and for him to return for his redshirt senior year. You're going to probably want to. I mean, you're probably going to want to continue to. I mean, they did pretty good in the transfer portal this past off season. That's going to have to continue, and I think Kentucky is going to have to beat a Tennessee. Get a big rivalry win over Tennessee. Beat Louisville at the end of the year. That's non-negotiable.
No 41-nothings.
Right. You're going to have to. Oh, the rest of this SEC schedule is pretty tough. At South Carolina, maybe you can get a win. Alabama. I mean, you're going to have to. If you stand toe-to-toe with Alabama, even if you lose, okay, that gives you something. It's all going to be at the results, but a victory at Tennessee or a home win against Florida, those things will go a long, long way if you're a Kentucky fan.
Yeah, I'd agree. It won't take much to get them excited.
No, exactly. I mean, with just one win at Tennessee or home win against Florida, and then you beat Louisville at the end of the year, I think you got a little, we got a little something. You keep Minchie for a second season, or you go out and score another transfer portal quarterback that you think is going to be somebody. Yeah, I think that you can revive the vibes pretty quickly. All right, let's spin forward to today a little bit. You have Georgia, Auburn, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina all at the podium today. So you have Alex Golesh going to the podium about 25 minutes or so. If you want to see the Kirby Smart press conference, you can see it already on the BamaCentral YouTube channel. I am downloading and putting up Alabama's opponents. I'm not doing all 16 teams. I'm doing Alabama and the 9 SEC opponents. So you can see that right there on the BamaCentral YouTube channel if you want to see it, be a part of that. But I just had a hypothetical as I looked at today's list. Alabama plays all 4 teams today. Obviously, massive rivalry with Auburn at the end of the year. And while I do not consider the Georgia game a rivalry because it's not technically a rivalry, an every year kind of rivalry, it has become a marquee game. We can all be honest about that. It has become, over the last 10 years, one of the biggest games in college football. And then you have Vanderbilt and South Carolina. South Carolina, the last 2 years, really challenged you, taking you to the brink 2 seasons in a row. You needed a lot of help and a lot of some just balls bouncing your way to beat South Carolina the last 2 seasons. And everybody knows what's going on with Vanderbilt. You went to Vanderbilt 2 seasons ago and lost as the number 1 overall team after beating the Georgia Bulldogs. And you won this past season here in Tuscaloosa, beating Diego Pavia fairly handily. It was a good game for a half, and then second half, really Alabama pulled away. Theo, I just have a hypothetical. If you are an Alabama fan, and I could say you get to go 3-1 against these 4 opponents, which team are you okay with losing to? Are you okay with losing to Georgia because, okay, marquee opponent, top 5 opponent, yeah, probably, whatever. But they just beat the brakes off you last December. They said, we're your daddy now, and really gave it to you last December. So there's got to be some sort of element of get your lick back against Georgia. You obviously have the Iron Bowl at the end of the year, and that speaks for itself as far as importance. You don't want to lose to Vanderbilt again for a second time in 3 seasons. The embarrassment would just be mounting. And then you have South Carolina, the team that just, it's been so close but hasn't gotten you the last couple of seasons. Would you be okay with giving them a charity victory? What would you do if you had to put 3-1 on Alabama against the 4 teams at the podium today?
First of all, I think we should, one day before the start of the season, rank every game in order of importance. That's what I'm getting out of looking at the schedule and trying to work things through right now. Secondly, instantly removing Auburn from the equation, right? I'm not gonna pick Auburn as the loss.
At home, even. Come on now.
I'm not gonna be picking that. Moving forward, I think a Vanderbilt loss would probably prove nearly identical to the 2024 loss to Oklahoma, right? I mean, it's a pretty exact, team that you should beat, a team on the road, going into your last 2 games of the season, being your FCS and then Auburn. The parallels are right there, and I do believe that you will be at a point in your season record-wise where you've already picked up 2 losses, where you cannot afford that loss at all. I'm not going to pick Vanderbilt. And then you could make the argument that Georgia works as a pick because, Kirby, great team. Symbolically, I think Alabama, and this is what made me think about the idea of ranking the games on the schedule, because this Georgia game should be very, 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 very high. From a symbolic perspective, right, Alabama is able to claim right now, look, we've owned Kirby lately. The second you lose 2 games in a row to a team, with one of them being humiliation ritual in the SEC championship game, and then the other being, on your home field, it's just about done. Like, it's time. Everyone has to stop with we own Georgia. You can't claim that anymore, frankly. If this is what happens, and then also not to mention you go another year without playing them, so we'll have approached over 2 full calendar years without a win over Georgia. Symbolically, this game should hold a lot of weight, I would say. So I am going to pick South Carolina. It's almost like pat them on the back. Congrats, guy. You were so close the last 2 years. Yeah, you finally got one. And then it doesn't matter because Alabama turns around in this scenario and beats Georgia 2 weeks later. Look, ultimately, if you are 5-1 after the Georgia game, doesn't really matter how you got there, because at that point, the objective is identical. Okay, you're 5-1 right now. Give me another 5-1 stretch over the next 6 weeks. That's all we're really asking at this point. Get yourself to 10-2 and in the playoff. I think that is a pretty universal benchmark that's being set for this team. I think me and you are in pretty much agreement over it, Joe. And I think there's nothing wrong with that at all. So, yeah, I'll give South Carolina their win. I'll give them the highlight of the season. Maybe Shane Beamer does something with it. He probably loses to a bottom feeder the next week in this world, but congrats to the Gamecocks. I think you're muted, Joe.
The dog was chewing on a toy over here, and I wanted everybody to hear what you had to say. I'm sorry, but I can see that. You accept the loss to South Carolina in order to beat the brakes off of Florida State the week before. So really high, you got to beat Florida. Calm down. You lost to South Carolina. Then you can go over to Mississippi State and get your sleepy win and get the season back on track with a huge home win against the Georgia Bulldogs. I think that'd probably be my pick as well. Yeah, no chance you're picking a loss to Auburn, and I think no chance you're picking a loss to Vanderbilt, because if you lose to Vanderbilt again, the Twitter heads are just going to go insane. And at some point, of course, the Twitter heads are always going to go insane, but at some point, that does start to change perception if you are losing to Vanderbilt 2 out of 3 seasons. So I think South Carolina is the pick. Will any of these guys say anything interesting today? Clark Lee is going to get all these questions about quarterback competition. We've already got stories about Jared Curtis on the Vanderbilt Commodores on SI site. Georgia has already gone. Auburn, how much Auburn-Alabama talk is there going to be today? Is Alex Golesh going to kind of feed the fire, or is he going to play classy man? It's going to be interesting to see kind of what these coaches say. Nobody had anything to say about Alabama yesterday, from what I could see, Theo. Does that mean the dynasty's dead because no one's talking about Alabama? Does that mean the run is over? The run
Time to pack it up. Yeah, we're done.
Oh, Kirby Smart didn't get a question about Alabama this morning. His questions about a specific game was about the Florida game, because they're moving the Florida game to Atlanta this year, and he asked about atmosphere, and Kirby gave the worst answer in the world. Well, it's not going to change what happens in the game.
Okay, to be fair, Florida media probably outnumbers everyone else 3-1, because they had to put it in Tampa Bay, the heart of the SEC, for this media day. Think about Tampa at the NCAA tournament, right? It was all Florida. Everyone was Florida. So,
I don't understand why they put it there. I don't understand why they put it in Tampa.
It's not quite as bad as putting it in Texas, but.
Well, at least there's multiple SEC teams in Texas. Yeah. There's 2, and Oklahoma's sitting right there next door, and Arkansas sitting there right next door. LSU can get over there pretty easy. Like Tampa, Katie put it in our chat the other day, 5 hours to the nearest SEC school, Tampa.
Yeah, that's crazy. We should move it to Birmingham next year. I think that'd be a good place.
Well, you may not have seen it, but it's already announced for Nashville next year.
Which that works.
Works for me as well. Works for me. And basically, it sounds like it's never going back to Birmingham.
Yeah. It seems like the event's kind of outgrown Birmingham a little bit at this point, as long as we don't lose basketball, though, as long as we hang on to basketball an hour away. On to the, obviously, little surprised that there wasn't an Alabama-specific thing with Kirby, just because that's such a common trigger, ask it. There will obviously be Alabama stuff today, and I will be tuned in to hear the new Tigers head coach talk, because I remember I wrote a whole story last year from Media Day about Auburn's desire to break the drought, right? And as Alabama's Iron Bowl win streak has reached a historic level, you're going to get a good soundbite, I do believe, from Coach Golesh about this, we're dissatisfied, or this is what I've heard about the game, or cause I don't think he has spoken publicly about the Iron Bowl to my knowledge. Not
really. Yeah. Other than putting the Dixieland Delight in practice, and it's an important game. We want our players to be thinking about it, kind of thing.
I do hope someone asks, maybe a follow-up about that, and we're going to get something good from him. That'll be basically the highlight of the day. Shane Beamer will go up, and if someone's going to complain about 9 games, it'll be Shane Beamer for about a quarter of his time up on stage. I am excited.
He won't complain about it. Alex Golesh will say, bring it on. Let's play 10 games.
Yes. Alex Golesh is, and I've said this before, very easy coach to like. He seems like, if I was an Auburn fan, I'd be over the moon about it.
Yeah, I would be as well. I think his first year might be a little rough personnel-wise, but I think that he's going to get it on track and get Auburn moving in the right direction. Theo, let me tell everybody about Purple Turtle Roofing, and then let's talk about TJ St. Louis for about 5 minutes and then close this thing down here. At Purple Turtle Roofing, we're not just another contractor. We're your neighbor and your advocate when it comes to protecting your home or business. With years of hands-on experience, top-tier certification, and a commitment to excellence, we've built a reputation as Alabama's go-to roofing solution. We specialize in residential roofing, commercial roofing, emergency storm repairs, full-on roof replacements, insurance claim support, and more. You can visit us online at roofturtle.com or call us at 877-PT-ROOF-5. Call us to set up your free roof inspection, or you can set it up online at roofturtle.com. That's Purple Turtle Roofing, roofing with heart, built to last. All right, Theo, let's shut this program down real quick by talking about a big addition for Alabama basketball yesterday. TJ St. Louis from Fort Erie, Ontario, Canada. He went to Fort Erie International Academy. Fort Erie, Ontario, Canada. He is 7 foot tall, 265 pounds, according to our friends at 24/7 Sports. He is unranked, and I could find just about a half dozen clips. No real film from him, but just a couple of clips from him. From his high school days or from some circuit days of ball getting passed to him in the post and slowly lifting it up and dunking it in the hoop. I see the length and the height, and that makes me happy, but the clips that I have seen make me go, slow, not exciting, not very explosive. But what do you make of Alabama adding TJ St. Louis to the roster and filling out the roster now? 15 scholarships, you're full, you're done. The roster is absolutely set at this point.
Yeah, I was able to find a little reel of him, and Joe is about the same thing you described. There was not all that much that jumps out as there certainly wasn't a lot that jumps out as, yeah, the center is going to thrive in the Alabama system. You know, like we've seen what happens when a center who is not able to physically compete and run at the pace that Alabama wants. We see what that does to the team, to the flow of the game. It doesn't really work. I think this is a very clear, 5-5. 5 years of you. I don't think this is a guy who will see much on the court right now. But you can't complain about the idea of getting this 7-footer. Like, physically, you look at him, it should be a guy who's able to compete, should be a guy who's able to play, hold up physically. So he plays at, or he attended Fort Erie International Academy in Ontario, and they've produced a number of solid players. They've got a Texas Tech center somewhere. Leonard Miller, a name if you follow the NBA, is a solid young player with the Bulls after going through G League Ignite. Like, they've produced guys before, and they're certainly on the radar of, the big schools. His only other offer was Eastern Michigan. So I guess it just comes down to, one, you had the scholarship, right? You had the scholarship sitting around, and you still are going to have Preston Murphy Jr. on scholarship, right? Like, you had 2 open spots technically.
I don't know if he's on scholarship or not, Preston Murphy Jr.
I thought you had an open scholarship spot in addition to Murphy.
I think he is. I think you're right.
Yeah. Not that it's going to make all that much difference in the end, right? But you had the spot. Either way, you filled it out. Don't really it's to the point where he just doesn't have enough tape for me to sit here and say, this is what he'll be able to do. This is what I like, dislike. Like, he looks like he played in the 90s. It looks like this team didn't run anything creative for him. And
the clip that I was able to see, correct me, but he was playing against some of the smallest kids some of the smallest kids. So it was hard to tell. But I agree with a lot of what you're saying. Like, he's probably going to sit on the end of the bench and lose 15 pounds, maybe 20, lose 20 pounds, and convert his body a little bit from a little soft to a little hard, a little muscle, get a little explosion. And I bet you in this year that they're going to stick him out on the 3-point line in that practice facility and say, hey, man, make sure that shot arc gets up and up. Watch the. You see the metrics over there where you see your lift. I bet you that this is a long-term plan type of player. And will he transfer out next winter? Maybe. But if he does, is he going to transfer to Duke? No. He's going to transfer. If he transfers out, he's going to transfer to an Eastern Michigan type program, a South Alabama, Ontario Tech type of program. So I think this is a developmental piece.
And you're paying him essentially next to nothing, right? There's going to be very little cost to bring this guy in. And it's cool because you can put him out on the court now as much as you want. Like, there's no restrictions. Do what you want. Like, okay, we're up 20 on Kennesaw State right now. 4 minutes to go. Here you go. Welcome to college basketball. And that rule certainly is going to improve college basketball. I think more so. Basketball and baseball are the biggest winners from the 5-and-5 rule, without a doubt. The fact that you get to see these guys as much as the coach wants to play, and you're not restricted by what was a really, really dumb redshirt rule. We'll see. We'll see what he becomes.
Absolutely. We will see what he becomes over the next 5 seasons. Hopefully turns into Shaquille O'Neal. We'll see. It's been a lot of fun with you guys today. Tomorrow, Theo, we're going to have to get together this afternoon and figure out what our plan is, because Kalen DeBoer is first up tomorrow. He's going to be at 8:05 tomorrow morning at the main media session. So we got to figure out kind of what 8:05 Central Time, what we want to do. Maybe our best bet is to let him go and just do an immediate reaction, rip a show that just reacts to his press conference and says goodbye. We'll probably want to connect with Katie and with Henry and with Hunter to see what the whole team is doing so that we can fit in and not fit out. So we'll communicate about what time we will do a show tomorrow. We will do a show tomorrow, but we have online obligations to BamaCentral.com. Obviously, we got to get written stuff out and follow the storylines of what will happen at SEC Media Days tomorrow. So we will talk to you tomorrow. It might be right at the normal time. It might be a little later. It might be a little earlier. I'm not quite sure. Maybe a solo show. We'll just play it by ear tomorrow as Alabama goes up for SEC Media Days. Make sure you follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _ on the Twitter machine. Tell him how much you appreciate him giving us his time each and every day while he's been out in California. Follow me at Joe Gaither 6. Follow the whole crew at Bama Central. And we will talk to you again tomorrow right here on the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com.